When it comes to hockey, I love my goals, my assists, my fights, but I love my stories. Pleased to be joined by one of the best storytellers I know, Terry Ryan, the author of Tales of a First Round Nothing, My Life as an NHL Footnote. TR, the old man told you to keep a journal back in the day.
Yes, he did.
Was he the main inspiration behind this whole thing?
God, it'd be tough to say a main inspiration. I guess he was the inspiration for the beginning of the book.
Right.
When I left, I was 14 years old. It's a long, long story. That's why you got to buy the book, people. But, I was 14 years old. I was an only child. I was playing junior hockey in BC from Newfoundland, a league that there was no hitting. There was a lot of unique things going on, a lot of changes going on in my body as a hockey player and as an adolescent, how that goes. And my father, he played in the WHA. He recommended, he said, he's one of those guys, he kept a bunch of pictures, books and document programs. We even got a puck from each rink that he played in. And the WHA at the time, they were blue in Minnesota, at least. They might have been league-wide, but we have, all the pucks and all the jerseys. But he never wrote anything down. And he said, because sometimes memories, they might get faded or they might just end up just working their way out of your memory, is the way he put it, back then. So, at first there were just jot notes, and after a while it was therapeutic. It was a stress relief for me. And I was going through a lot. As any young player leaving from home, I think I can recommend, that I think it'll get a little bit easier if you write stuff down. It sounds crazy. It sounds old school with this day and age of the apps and the iPhones and the tablets and all that stuff. There's got to be an app for that stuff. I just got a pen and a paper and wrote it down. I had stacks and stacks. And over the years, I got to be honest, only about 5% of the stories made it in there. As well as I do. But, I wanted the point to be that, hockey's about more than just making the NHL. It definitely helped me. It was a vehicle to a lot of life experiences that I've had in and away from the game. Almost everything in my life now indirectly has come from the game of hockey. And outside of the fact that I think it's a beautiful game and that I think sports are a metaphor for life in a lot of different ways, not just hockey, but, I'm obviously biased towards the greatest game on earth.
For people who didn't see you play out there, when you came out of the WHL, you're kind of the classic power forward. Coming out of the WHL, the game's changed a lot in the last 20 years. You were drafted in 1995. What player out there right now reminds you of a young TR, a young Terry Ryan?
God, I'd have to say Lucic. I would have to say Milan Lucic. I love this. You should be my agent, by the way. After this, you're going to be my agent.
Good enough.
So, yeah. If I was 21. It's definitely, I think if I could go one player, he played in the WHL. He played for Vancouver, which, Ron Toigo, who owns that team, or at least did. I haven't done my homework. I think he still does. He played for them. He's a WHL guy. He shoots left. He represents the power forward. I hate to really put myself there. I played the power forward game. He's a lot bigger than I was. At least more meat on his bones. I'm 190 or 195. Although my hockey card says 210.
No, that's boring.
Because when Central Scouting came, I used to put weights on the inside of my groins. I taped them on, and I was standing on foam about this. So I'm 6'2", 215 and some, yeah.
Nice.
But I was always, 6 foot and change and 190, 195. But I played like that. In the WHL at the time, you had to. And, I'd say Iginla because he's from my same draft class and everything. But, I'd say a guy like Lucic. I even think guys like I love watching that Shaw kid, Andrew Shaw, and Andrew, right? Yeah, in Chicago. And I don't think coming into the league he represented as many points and everything as I had at the time. I'm not saying I'm any better than Andrew Shaw, but I looked and there's a guy. I looked at his hockey DB, and this isn't set up. I didn't do it right before the show. I'm not, bullcrapping you here. If you can say that on air.
You just did.
But yeah, okay. But, I looked, and here was a guy, and you can tell that he worked his way up, and, this guy played an important role, and I've talked to people that played with him at this point. And, and he fits in the NHL. He's doing what I think I would have done. I don't think he's ultra dirty or anything. He works hard. He gets the other team, he gets under their skin sometimes, and he gets goals going to the net. The other one, he batted in the other night out of the air. That was a classic WHL 90s goal, look at what I came out with. The big players in the WHL when I was coming out, if myself, either include me or don't, but, Ryan Smith, Darcy Tucker, Zdeno Chara, Clark Wilm, Marlowe might have been the most finesse of the bunch, and even he goes to the cage pretty hard. He's still a good player at that age. Sheldon Surrey, Brian McCabe. It seemed that everybody who was having success had a lot of toughness. They had at least 100 penalty minutes to go with it, and it was just a game that we played, and now it's fewer and further between. But I still respect watching those guys. I could go on and on because there's a lot in the league. I mean, the league is not totally gone one way, but It was definitely more physical in the 90s, but it was also before the obstruction rules. It was before the red line got taken out. It was the era of the power forward, the Legion of Doom with Lindros and Leclerc and Renberg. Those seemed to be the biggest. 95, I think, was a lockout year. It was the year Lindros won the MVP or the scorer, if my memory serves me correctly. So all those things were fastball down the middle of the way I played. Had the draft been right now with the same kind of player I was then, I don't know that I would have gone that high, but who knows? But, my game was tailor-made for the kind of what the scouts were looking for at that time.
We were talking before we came on, the game is almost so robotic now. The coaching, players have to be in this, you have to play your system. Your book, it's not about it's systems. There's some info about, a goal or two you scored, but it's stories.
Yeah.
You're a character. Are there characters like you in the game anymore? Are there stories that still get told, or is the game missing that because we are into the whole analytical thing, the Corsi thing, the stats this, the stats that?
We are, and that Corsi stuff, honestly, I think at some point, all the intangibles that you don't really talk about, the stats that you don't see, and I know sometimes a lot of the character stuff is represented by block shots and everything, but and I know that some of it's in there, but some of it isn't. And sometimes now I think a guy with his own identity, that was a bit of a foggy line in Montreal. I was the type to get off Montreal in Fredericton. I didn't play much in Montreal, but I was there for a lot, and I got great things to say about the organization. But I do think at the time, I was seen as a little odd if the bus pulled in and we didn't play for 2 days. I might put on my jeans and snakeskin boots. I might have a mohawk. I might go to a concert. It was different that way. But it really wasn't. The hockey world almost embraced it in most places I went. And, it seems now, it seems if you're your own guy off the ice, or, I hate to say have a beer or something like that, but, you know what I mean? Just there's a point that you need to relax, and whether that's having a beer with the boys or it's going on the road, going on a trip, and maybe relaxing at some resort or whatever it might be. It seems everything is in your face. It's social media. There's pictures everywhere. So players, as a rule, have to almost try to be more uniform, and they have to go and act like a soldier. And some of that's good, but some of it's not. And I think what we're losing is those kind of characters in a dressing room that bring it together. And guys like Lyle Odeline, okay, draw what you want. He was the first guy that I ever met that I was like, this guy's a leader. In junior, we were all learning how to be leaders. Certain guys out there were making sacrifice for the team in one way or the other, whether it was blocking a shot or getting in a big fight. I tried to do all that. But Lyle Odeline, I got to say, if he's out there somewhere, Odie, you really had a handle on it. Now that I'm 37 and I look back, this guy was one of the best leaders in the game. And, who knows if he even make the NHL now. And that's not a slight against him. But everything that he brought to the table, I thought, he was good on the ice. And he was an intimidator and all that. But he was just great off the ice. Anybody who played with him will tell you the same thing.
All right, we're running out of time. I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire. I know you're a big music fan. I know you're a good Beatles fan, so I'm not going to ask you, Beatles or Stones. But Lennon or McCartney? Quick, one word.
McCartney.
Stephenville Jets or Clarenville Caribous?
Clarenville Caribous.
Terry Ryan Sr. or Terry Ryan Jr.?
Terry Ryan Sr.
Who was selected before Jarome Iginla in the 1995 NHL draft?
Well, there was 10 of us, but I'm going to say Terry Ryan Jr. How's that? Yeah, there was 8 or 9 more guys.
St. John's Maple Leafs or Fredericton Canadians?
Fredericton Canadians.
Aaron Asham or Sheldon Surrey? Two different players. One complicated question.
Pick one is, Aaron Asham.
Good enough. The book is Tales of a First Round Nothing, My Life as an NHL Footnote. That man, Terry Ryan, knows how to tell a story, and yes, I will take the offer up to be your agent. Want a cameo on Republic of Doyle.
There you go. Fastball down the middle. You got it, and you're my new agent. Thanks, Kenny.
Good enough, buddy.